it's Claire from Angelic Scalliwags. Welcome back to my channel. As you can see, I've been busy decorating the bathroom in our 250-year-old cottage. There were two essentials whilst I was doing this. The first was to get rid of the mould and mould proof it for the future, and the second was to spend as little money as possible. I killed off all the mould spores with a special formula, painted an anti-mould undercoat, and then I painted over the top in a lovely buttermilk anti-mould paint as well. You can see here the curtains, they're the ones we've had for years. I made those when we first got married. The picture you can see on the right there, my husband bought me for our 2-year anniversary, so 25 years ago. And it just went beautifully. I've had it in the hallway, but it went beautifully in this bathroom. Almost everything you can see here was bought from a charity shop, apart from maybe the plant. And over here you can see on the upper left, there's a little candle holder which says love, which my youngest daughter bought for me. And each time we use the candle, I just refill it with beeswax, so we can keep using it over the years. The little yellow cabinet here is so cute. I love it so much. But it's very, very thin cabinet, so only comes out maybe 2 inches. And that's why I needed to make these special containers to go in there, because I just couldn't find any that would fit. So it also has a nice little handle that I can use to put loo roll on. Anyway, these little containers are made out of a Tampax box. Both of them were made out of a Tampax box. You need the box, scissors, tape, double-sided sticky tape, odd pieces of material, an iron and some gaffer tape. The first thing here is to iron the material so that there are no creases or no anything in there, because every little thing will show up when you're double-sided sticky taping material onto cardboard. It really doesn't, it's not very forgiving. So I'm not usually pedantic about ironing, but for this particular project you need them to be completely crease free. And then you just want to grab the box. I'm going to cut off the flaps, and then I'm going to make, you'll see in a minute, I'm going to make a V shape on one of the corners. So I'll wait for myself to cut off the flaps. And on one of the corners, I'm going to cut this V shape, which goes down into the corner. So basically I want to flip over the flaps, and by cutting this V shape out, and then using that same V shape to mark the other V shapes. Gosh, I'm useless at explaining these things. You get the idea though by watching me. This means that the height will be the same all the way around, and it will enable you to push in the flaps in on themselves, and everything will be equal all the way around. And by pushing them in on themselves, you'll have strengthened the box, which was the whole point of making it slightly smaller. That and the fact it had to fit in. So I fold it over first, but then I add the double-sided sticky tape so that it remains firm in there. You don't have to be super careful here. The goal is really just to stick the flaps down, so it doesn't need to be done too specifically. And there's your box, which is much stronger than the first box. Then you want to measure out your material. I know I want the edges quite neat, so I'm going to have an overlap. As it folds over, there's going to be a slight overlap, which you'll see in a minute, and I'll show you how I neaten the edges. And you want the material deep enough that it will fold into the box, and therefore covering all of the print. So nobody will know it's a sanitary ware box. So this edge doesn't need to be neat, so I'm just going to attach the box, as you can see, and then I'm going along just very slowly. It's very easy on checkered fabric to make sure it's quite accurate. I suppose if it was floral fabric or, you know, fabric without pattern, you might need to just do a little bit at a time. But with the checkers, I can just eye it and get it straight. So we're about to come up to the overlap here, but because I want a nice neat edge, what I'm going to do is double side sticky tape the end here and then fold it over. And then you stick the folded over edge to the box, and then you have a really lovely finish. Now I'm not going to cut these. You could cut these, but I didn't want to because I don't want them fraying. So I'm just rubbing some double-sided sticky tape in there. I love this dispenser because it means that I don't have to peel off any backing off the tape. And then I'm just smoothing it down. Until it's nice and neat inside. And then I'm going to do the same with the bottom. This doesn't need to be too neat and tidy, because I'm going to put gaffer tape on the bottom. Just to make it a bit more stable, actually. That's the reason I chose to put gaffer tape. Love gaffer tape. It's one of my favourite things in the world. My granddad used to say you could do anything with gaffer tape and string. You can see here just how neat it is, and that's because of the ironing to begin with. So now I'm just cutting some gaffer tape. I cut slightly more than it needs. I don't really like cutting gaffer tape with scissors. It's much easier to rip it with your fingers, but nevertheless, I'm going to use my scissors here and just trim it down to the size that it needs to be after I've stuck it on. And as I say, that was just put on for stability, really, a bit more weight at the bottom as well. And as it's going to be sitting in the bathroom, if it gets a bit damp in there, that will just keep the bottom from touching any damp surfaces. And there we go. I'm going to label them, even though I think maybe my children are sufficiently intelligent to figure out what goes in what. I don't know why I'm going to label them, because it looks kind of cute. So I'm just using some scrapbooking paper here and a felt tip, a little marker. I think what would look really, really cute is actually embroidered labels, but I'm in the middle of another embroidery at the moment, which you'll see at the end of this video. So nice little sticky label is perfect. And there you go, finished. And this is what they look like in the little cabinet that I made them for. Next thing I'm going to make is a cushion, an embroidered cushion for the cozy corner, which is in the other half of the bathroom. Bizarrely, our cottage is like so weird, but bizarrely the kitchen is about half the size of the bathroom, and you have to go through the kitchen in order to reach the bathroom. And so therefore in the kitchen there's no room for table or chairs or rocking chair or anything, but in the bathroom there is a lovely area for a rocking chair, which I use when I have a bath. I have a bath late at night and I often listen to Audible books, And because I don't want to walk through the house with my phone listening to the Audible books, I'll often sort of sit in the rocking chair cooling off whilst listening to the last end bit of a chapter or something. So I use the rocking chair a lot in the bathroom. So I wanted to make kind of like an embroidered cushion to pop on the rocking chair. So that is what I'm doing now. I've got just about enough spare fabric. So this isn't actually spare fabric. This is fabric I bought, I think, for £1 at a charity shop. It's stained, which I've actually cut off the stain bit, I think, or maybe it's on the inside of the pillow. It's just slightly stained. I've washed it, but it just doesn't come out. But it won't show on the final cushion. Anyway, I've cut out an equal side. I'm going to make an envelope cushion. So you basically need a very long rectangle, which when you fold it over and overlap it to an envelope fold, you will have the size of the end cushion. There you go. I just pointed out the stain that's on there. So I shall make sure that I put that inside the cushion, not on the outside, because it's absolutely fine. So measure it at whatever width and length you want to make your cushion. Now, unfortunately, having showed you how I kind of cut that and measured it, I then don't record when I'm sewing it. But basically you want to have it folded in an envelope fold. So that means that you fold over the right hand side down 3/4 of the way along, and then fold the left hand side over it. So you don't need any kind of fastenings like buttons or zips, because there's like a double up fold, which you can then, so there, I'm showing it to you there. So this is after I've sewn it, so I'm just showing you the areas that I've sewn it. So this is it inside out here. So you don't need to sew down the sides, because the sides actually are a fold. I was just turning it the right way in. I'm always blown away by how neat and tidy these look, especially the fact that I made them, because I'm not a neat and tidy worker. But I love this one. Like, a pillow for £1 isn't bad, is it? I'm just giving it a quick iron, because the next thing I want to do is to cut some linen, and I'm going to cut it to exactly the shape of the pillow, because I intend to hem it, which will make it slightly smaller than the pillow, and this just makes it a much easier and quick way of just cutting the size that I want. And give it a quick iron, and then I think I do use a ruler to turn in the edges, and I think I did that mainly because the material of the pillow is squared, and so it will show if it's slightly off or not fully rectangular. So I'm using a ruler just to make sure of that. And then I'm just going to hem the top and the bottom here, and then I'll do the same with the left and the right sides. And I don't know if you'll see this on the film, but on the corner of this linen rectangle, I do fold in the corners. Yeah, I just showed you there. It's very quick though, blink and you'll miss it. But I fold them in so the corners are really neat and sit really flat, which is exactly what I want. After I've done this, I then embroider the words that I want, which is a quote from the Bible. But I do that in my bedroom with Gary whilst we're watching a video. So there, you can see, create in me a clean heart, O Lord. So I embroidered that on, and I'm just ironing it because I'm not a great embroiderer, and it does sometimes, the material puckers up a little bit and the iron helps it to lay flat. You can see there the Lord part, and the Psalm 51 is a bit puckered, but it's not too bad. And now I'm going to just tack it on using a different green. So in total I've used 4 different greens there with the embroidery thread, because one skein won't do all that I wanted, and I had lots of different greens, so I just thought I'd alternate them all. But I have used the same green to tack it on all the way around. I've filled this pillow with just some quilting wadding, which comes in sheets, so I've probably used 5 layers. In the past I've used old tights, old socks. I really, when we had we threw away a sofa once, and I emptied it completely of all its fluff, and then I used all that fluff to do all sorts of pillows and quilting and Christmas decorations. So I like to keep things and use them up. So you can really use anything. If you're using itty bitty things, you might need to make an interior cushion cover just to keep all the wadding in. But as I'm using just layered stuff, it's really easy to take out, wash the cover, and then put back in again. And that's me just finishing up. I hope you've enjoyed watching me play around with scraps of material. I've had a thoroughly lovely day doing this, and a very inexpensive way of helping to decorate a bathroom. And there's the finished cushion, so that's the back of it, with the envelope fold that you can pop the stuffing in. And then the front with the embroidery. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I will be back with more next week. Have a great week, and don't forget to dream impossible dreams. Bye bye.